price is king, it's where we belong. Stay with the dream, don't lose your way. Right way's the fire that'll light the day. Keep it simple, let the moment arrive. 3-8 trap keeps the hope alive. Hold on tight till the signal's near. Right way's the trail, we're breaking through fear.
Good morning, traders. This is Doug Campbell with Rightway Options, and this is the morning market prep video for August 14th, 2025. Let's get the right year in here. Hope everyone had a good evening and good rest and ready for another busy day in the market where we get the producer prices today, and we'll see if those estimates are right or wrong on those producer prices here before the bell. Let's take a look at what happened overnight. First off, Asian markets last night had a little bit of a mix last night. Nothing major, but we saw Australia up 46.70, 0.53%. Hong Kong fell 94.35 to down 0.37%. South Korea managed to squeak out $1.29 in gain, or 0.04%. The Nikkei fell 625.41, 1.45% after hitting record highs 2 days in a row, new record highs. We had India up $11.95, or 0.05%, and Shanghai fell by $17.02, or 0.46% lower. If we take a look at European markets this morning, just a little mix there, but still pretty darn bullish. The DAX is up 103.04, 0.43% this morning. FTSE is just ever so slightly lower, down $5.94, or 0.06%, and the CAC is up 27.78, or 0.36% higher. If we look at U.S. futures, maybe just a little bit of uncertainty here in U.S. futures as we have made two new record highs back-to-back, day after day, in the QQQ and the SPY. And the Dow has surged well over 800 points in 2 days. And maybe this is just a little bit of a rest or a little bit of apprehension about the economic data today. But at this moment, as I'm doing this at 5:30 this morning, we've got Dow futures down 2 points. We've got S&P 500 futures down 3 points, and NASDAQ futures down $14.50. Let's take a look at what we have going on here in bonds this morning. Bonds are, just slipping just a tiny bit lower here. We've got the 2-year bond coming in at 3.67%. 10-year bond is at 4.21, and the 30-year coming in at 4.80 this morning. Taking a look at what that is doing with the U.S. dollar, it's not helping the dollar much here. We aren't falling as hard, but we've got a little bit of a modest downturn here in the dollar this morning, down about 8 cents here at the moment. The key element in here is we're really testing this upside trend really hard, and unfortunately the neckline here of this head and shoulders pattern is not holding up very well here at the moment. So keep an eye on that closely. I think if we break down below this low right here, we could see some new lows in the US dollar. Now, for a couple of days that gold was moving higher here. It is at the moment, gold futures are just a tiny bit lower, $1.16 an ounce. You can see we gapped down here this morning on gold, but it's already pushing back up. So keep an eye on that here today. And then we've got silver here this morning. Silver is down $12 or 12 cents, almost almost 13 cents at 38.47 an ounce. Gold is 3,407 an ounce here this morning. Copper is also looking just a tiny bit lower, but what we've been experiencing here lately is that the miners, even though some of these stocks have been giving up a little bit, the miners continue to stay pretty strong in here. COPX breaking through resistance up here yesterday. Pretty flat here this morning. We're down about a penny in copper, so watch that closely. But what a run to the upside here that's made, and breaking through that resistance up here could be a very important thing to be paying attention to. And if we look at some of the other miners in here, like Barrick Gold, KGC, looking good in here. Even if we take a look at some of the ETFs on miners, GDX, GDXJ, they're looking pretty good. We're not seeing any major damage here at all in those miners, although gold and silver prices have been fluctuating a little bit. If we take a look at platinum this morning, platinum is just a little bit higher here today, trying to push up and test this resistance in the chart. Right now up $17 an ounce, and palladium is just a tiny bit higher here this morning, up $9.20 an ounce, but still in a very bearish pattern and potential downtrend there. If we take a look at the crypto markets here this morning, we've got Bitcoin, after a zooming day yesterday, just pulling back a little bit after it broke through here, and IBIT broke through that resistance in the chart, down this morning at this moment, $863 a coin, or 0.70%. And if we take a look at Ether, it is up $18.38 a coin after just a whopper of a week here, just zooming to the upside. 0.39% higher here this morning so far on Ether. So keep an eye on that. A little bit of mix in those cryptos today after quite a bullish day in cryptos. Let's take a look at what we have going on in the oil markets here this morning. We haven't seen this for a couple of days, but we do have oil going just a little bit higher here today. We've been a little bit just choppy here in that oil sector. Whoops. Choppy and pushing back in that oil sector, but trying to get just a little teeny tiny boost here today. Right now, oil futures are up 22 cents at 62.87 a barrel. And if we look at Brent, it's also a little bit higher at 65.87 a barrel. If we take a look at natural gas, boy, we have no love for natural gas, continuing to fall after making, here I'm going to go to a weekly. This is the lowest price we've ever seen in the UNG ETF, and natural gas just continues to look very, very weak overall. And no love there on the gas side. So, what does all that mean for the day? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Thursday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you very much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. Let's take a look at these index charts, see if we can figure out how we might want to approach the market for today. Remember, we want to look at these charts for what they are, not for what we want them to be, and be really focused in on the potentials, either both upside or downside. Well, first off, there's really no way you can look at this diamonds chart at the moment with this higher low in here as a any kind of a bearish chart, it's bullish. But we do want to recognize the fact that we're pushing up here toward a significant level of resistance. We failed right in here to get through that all-time high here in the diamonds. And they want that to happen here. I think the market could line everything up here today to try and make that occur, assuming we don't get some bad data in the economic reports or earnings reports today. So watch that carefully. It wouldn't take a whole lot to push this up through here and set a new record high in the diamonds, and then blue sky above there. But if the bears were to have anything to say in here, then I see that possibility that we could push back and retest this area of price support in the chart. And that wouldn't be a major surprise if that were to come back and just test in there. If that, however, were to fail, then I'm going to look at yesterday's low here, and unfortunately we left a big gap behind here in the chart. If those bears really started to push for some reason, we've got a gap here that could be filled pretty easily. So watch that closely. We'll be coming into this upside trend. I think where the market would get really scared here in the Dow is if we broke back down below that area of price support in the chart. So watch that carefully here in the Dow. If we take a look at the SPY's just got all kinds of blue sky above, and no worries, no threat there at the moment. But if those bears were to have anything to say, right now I see the possibility that the gap could be filled. Pushback here, filling that gap in the SPY looks like a possibility. If the bears were to push beyond that, I'm going to suggest this area right in here, retesting that area of support, which wouldn't be a major problem at all. I think if we were to get a really strong bearish reversal in here, where the market is going to start getting kind of nervous here, is if we break this back down through here. So watch that carefully. But right now, there's nothing in that chart that suggests bearishness. It's bulls all the way, all the time. Particularly those big techs have been doing a good job, even though yesterday maybe just a little bit of weakness showing up in some of those, maybe a little idea of, well, our elevation here is a little bit nutty on some of those, so watch that carefully. Now our QQQ, same thing. QQQ has really been leading the charge in here with those tech giants and continuing to go, although we did get a little bit of a pullback in there on those tech giants. You'll see that we still closed at a new record high, and there is nothing in this chart really that suggests bearishness. If a bear activity does begin, you'll notice we kind of tested this area of support yesterday, maybe a hold of there, pushing back down in here, then I would suggest we would come down into yesterday's low as a possibility. You can see that kind of grabs that high of that candle in there. It would be breaking down below there would probably raise some concern in the market, but I don't think there's going to be any real major fear in the QQQ unless we were seeing areas down in here get tested or maybe broken. So no particular worries there. Again, nothing in that chart suggests bearishness, but we do want to be cognizant of the fact that we are very elevated here in the market and a reversal could occur at any time. If we take a look at our IWM continued to have a great day yesterday and did finally break out of this resistance. Notice we haven't seen this area over here since February of 25. We finally popped that area here in the chart. Now let's see if we can follow through in here or at least hold above that area of support. If we can get and have that hold up here that area of support, then we'll start pushing up. We'll start attacking some of these additional areas of resistance in the chart. And notice we're a long ways away here from being breaking to new record highs in IWM. But boy, 2 zooming upside days make this a very, very bullish chart here at the moment. Small caps really coming around and maybe coming into their own here for a while. We haven't seen that for a long time. If the bears would have anything to say, if we could hold on to this area of support, that'd be awesome for that chart. But if they pushed a little bit more, pushing down into yesterday's low, and then of course the gap right here on IWM that we could fill on a pullback. If that occurs, I think we're fine. We've got a great area of price support in here on that, so a little rest or a little pullback consolidation in here wouldn't hurt IWM at all. I think once again it would be a break of support levels like this, a reversal that pulls us back through there, that would really raise some concern in the market. Now if we take a look at our VIX is suggesting we're not scared about anything. Everything is awesome. We have broken to a new low here. In recent low anyway, in the VIX, coming in about 14.5 handles there on the VIX. We're not showing any fear at all in this racing move to the upside after that CPI report. So watch that carefully here. If the bulls continue to find that inspiration, we're going to start looking for some new support areas. Could be all the way out into here, down around the 13 area of the VIX. So kind of keep in mind, once we start reaching some of those numbers, we're getting into complacency zones here in the market. It's where the market kind of believes we're never going to go down again, that everything is great. And that's usually when we catch that reversal. Doesn't mean we tear things down. It doesn't mean we go all the way, whipsaw all the way back down. Although the market these days is either all or nothing. We're just zooming to the upside, or we're running in fear, running for the door. So we've got to be careful. We've got to have a plan to protect ourselves if that were to suddenly reverse. Now let's take a look at our T20s. Our T2122 is a little bit worrisome here today. The reason is we've got T2122 up here in that bearish reversal zone. I suggested that gap up yesterday, that we could easily be up there, and we were. And now you can see we've got this little hook up here, this little hockey stick in the air. Something I learned from someone a long time ago, that a pattern like this on a chart, hockey sticks in the air like this, we usually get penalized, and we can see that pullback occur. Doesn't mean we break down, but just remember the T2122 indicator never goes above 100. It cannot go above 100. And in the only time in my career that I remember we hit 100, actually hit 100, and I can't even remember in my entire career where that occurred. And so watch that carefully. We may still have that push to the upside that could tag some of those higher areas in here. But what I want you to visualize is, if we continue this push to the upside, we really don't have a whole lot of space here in T2122 for that. So if the bears have anything to say, however, we've got a big opportunity for them. So if we do get some bad news today, the reversal in here could not be too much of a surprise if we were to pull back on that. If the numbers come in really, really good, I would continue to expect the indexes to stretch on higher, just to be a little bit more muted in that move if that were the case. And then if we take a look at our T2108, percentage of stocks above the 40-day moving average, beautiful stretch yesterday to the upside, pushing right up through that 55 area here in the chart, and pushing up here towards 60%. Now you'll notice here at 60%, we do have quite a lot of congestion. And if we can push through there up here into this area, once we get around that 70 plus area here, we're very frothy in the market. We tend to find a way to pull back. So kind of keep an eye on that. If the bears were to have anything to say today and we were to pull back, we've pushed through this area of resistance around 50%. So a pullback in here may just catch right in that area, maintaining this little upside trend. That would not be a problem. If we broke a little bit further lower than that, we might start getting a little bit nervous here in T2108. T2107 also great stretch back up, breaking through this recent resistance high here and almost making it to the 50% area. Look right in here at 50%, however, there is going to be a pretty substantial area of price congestion here. Can we push through that? Absolutely, a good number in the PPI, and I would suggest we could push right through that level. But just kind of keep in mind as we push up in here into this zone, there's a lot of congestion up in there. If the bears were to have anything to say, once again, we did a really good job of holding in this area. So we've got some good support right in price action right through this area here to be paying attention to. And even if we were to break a little bit lower, we've got some support down in here on T2107 to hang in there around 40%. If we take a look at our T2101, this is one of the reasons we finally got that good bullish push that was sustainable and not whipsawed. We saw breadth increase for a second day. Unfortunately, it wasn't such a substantial improvement in breadth that we're out of the woods here on this big stretch to the upside. Notice we're still downtrending in here. We're pushing into a major area of resistance in that breadth. If we're going to continue this move to the upside, we need to see that breadth continue to expand here on T2101. Also, if we pull back today, if we were to pull back and the breadth doesn't go up, if we pull back and the breadth falls on any kind of sell-off today or any pullback in the chart, that's going to give bulls some more ammunition to say, hey, the bears still don't have any energy, and we could see that push right back in. What you don't want to see is, if you're a bull, you don't want to see breadth continue up on a bearish wave. So watch that carefully. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. And our economic calendar, well, what I've been talking about here all morning, it seems like, is talking about this producer prices coming up. We're going to get those jobless claims in here, and they are expecting an increase on the consensus of those jobless claims, rising just a little bit. And there's some stories out there. We're seeing some stories popping up how AI is starting to take people's jobs. So watch that carefully. We could see that creep here to the upside in here, and I think everyone is kind of expecting there's going to be a lot of jobs lost due to AI. So watch that carefully here on that. If we do start to creep up, that can add some pressure or concern to the markets. And then we've got PPI final demand in here, and this is going to be probably the big one of the day. And you can see, just like in the CPI, consensus is suggesting these numbers move higher. Now remember, producers are probably going to see those price increases first, over and above what you see in CPI. Producers will experience them first, and then they'll pass them on, or may pass them on to the consumer. So watch that carefully here. We're looking at some increases in these on those PPI numbers. And if they come in as is or even a little bit higher, that would probably bring out the bears in a pretty big way after this extension to the upside. So be prepared if we happen to get some bad numbers in here and that shifts. However, as I've said before, if they come in good or better than these numbers are showing, the market could continue to celebrate. So just have a plan to protect yourself if that reversal were to occur. After that, we've got a natural gas report to be paying attention to. We're going to get some bond auctions in here, a 4-week and an 8-week. Barkin will be speaking again today, and then that Fed balance sheet at the end of the day. Remember, as we move into Friday, we've got some big reports in here. Retail sales, Empire State Manufacturing, those import-export prices, industrial production, business inventories, consumer sentiment. So a busy day on Friday, busier than we've seen in a long time on Friday, and market moving reports in here to be paying attention to. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar. In our earnings calendar, there are much more stocks reporting today than I've got here on the notables. But if we take a look in here, we've got some notables. You might want to grab a screenshot of that. As a matter of fact, I think there's about 140 companies reporting, but remember, a lot are the really small cap kind of things. They're not the kind of things that are going to really move the market a ton. So on these notables in here, it is a shrinking list. Let's take a look at a couple of those here this morning, because we have gotten the earnings of John Deere here this morning. And John Deere, I think it beat on both the top and bottom line, but it wasn't enough here for the market, I guess, at the moment. So keep an eye on that. That's pulling us back here just a little bit. We've got Advance Auto that will be reporting today. Certainly one of those stocks that can move us a little bit, so watch that carefully here. And this afternoon, AMAT will be probably our biggest notable. There's also SanDisk in there, so keep an eye on those here this afternoon. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me that quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube. Also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor, click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to grow. Thank you very much for everyone who does do that. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I want to remind everyone, I'm not very good at reminding people of this or even talking about it much, but we've got that $7 deal continuing to go on here where you can take a trial of Rightway Options and be with us for a full 30 days for just $7. I don't think you can probably go buy a Big Mac meal for $7 right now. So would love to help you, and we spend an awful lot of time. You have a lot of personal time with me on the mic, and can answer questions and maybe help you with some of your trading issues out there. And we do some good trading right now. We've got some very good profits in trades, so that's just part of the education. So if that's something of interest to you, go to the website here, hitrun-candlesticks.com, and I'll leave a link in the description of the video for you to drop on by. Let's take a look at some of these stocks that could be setting up. Remember, everyone, these are not recommendations to buy or sell anything. You need to do your own due diligence. And as I said, we've got to be really careful, particularly in such a short-term extension, leaving gaps behind like we have and stretching up like this, coming into some big data points. If we were to stumble, just be prepared for that possible pullback. And as I said yesterday, be careful chasing stocks that are already extended, because that can put you in a hurt locker pretty quickly. Let's take a look at a couple. I placed a new alert here on RIG yesterday. Very, very cheap stock in here. I get accused sometimes of only talking about expensive stocks, but honestly, there are some good patterns in here on some of these lower price stocks, and particularly since we're seeing a lot of the small caps really start to pick up. There's some good looking charts in there. But if we take a look at RIG, nice little break of this big downtrend in here, resting in this pattern. And of course, we all have heard from the president multiple times, drill baby drill. Maybe they're going to get something going here. It takes a while to get all those rigs out there and permitted to do things like that. So looking pretty decent in here. Might want to watch this if this pops up, starts moving to the upside. On that energy front, guys, I continue to repeat this over and over and over. You want to be staying focused in here on uranium. Remember, big tech, all they care about right now is getting enough power to supply their data centers, and nuclear power is one of those things that they're working through, and this stuff is going to be built. So watch that carefully in here. Things like UUUU, URA still looking good. Things like CCJ still looking good, and my UEC is just smoking here. We popped up there again yesterday and pulled back. I think this needs a rest. I wouldn't want to chase into that here at the moment, but watch that carefully. UEC looking very, very good here in the market. And then also on the energy side, just keep an eye on BTU. Coal continues to show some bullishness here, breaking through some resistance. So we'll want to be watching that carefully. Any rest, pullback, consolidation in here, be watching that carefully on BTU. Could set up that next opportunity to the upside. When I talk about that, I think it's a good idea to just look at some of the utilities out there. Utilities doing very well and finally just took this nice little resting consolidation in here, maybe sliding out to, could it be the new trend right here? And watch that carefully. If those bulls were to step up here in utilities, that might start moving on through to the upside. And there's individual stocks out there in that sector that just look really good. So take a look, all those usual suspects that we talk about starting to show that bullishness and breaking higher here in some of those utilities. So keep an eye on some of those. They're looking just pretty darn good. One of the areas that really stretched out yesterday, I talked about materials yesterday. If we take a look at XLB, continuing to really stretch yesterday, that nice little pattern that I talked about, that pushed right on through here to the upside. Anything in that material sector looking pretty good. There's a major anticipation by the market. Right now, Fed Funds futures are suggesting 3 rate cuts this year, and they're talking about the possibility of an outsized rate cut coming in September of 50 basis points. So watch that carefully here. Now, I haven't heard any Fed members say that. This is just the market speculating, but you can see in that material sector, we're having a big response to the upside. And if you take a look at those builders, take a look at Toll Brothers, nice little pop stretching on through, big bullish move going on in there. Watch that carefully. Again, I wouldn't want to chase it here, but I would watch for that next little rest, consolidation, or pullback and wait for that next opportunity in there. Things like Pulte Homes. Also getting that big boost here to the upside. You can see breaking through major resistance areas in the chart, getting that good stretch. So keep an eye on some of those home builders, material sellers. You might even want to be keeping an eye on Home Depot here. That thing has been running hot, needs a little rest or pullback here in that, and then look for that next opportunity. You've got Lowe's out there that just went like a rocket shot yesterday on this hope or anticipation of rate cuts, and then that story come out about the outsized rate cut could be possible, a 50 basis point, and markets just went wild here on that. So keep an eye on that home builder area, anything in that materials sector out there, just looking really, really good. Now, NVIDIA pulled back yesterday, but they continue, the institutions continue, and like almost every day, some institution reiterates their buy rating on NVIDIA. Nice little rest and consolidation in here. If the bulls can get going there, boy, I see every reason that could push on through to the upside. Microsoft started to move yesterday, started to get going, ended up with a bearish engulfing in there on that chart. So watch that carefully. This looked like this was setting up for a nice little bullish pattern, but that bearish engulfing in here might give you a little bit of hesitation. I could easily see that retest this area of support here. It doesn't mean the chart's getting bad necessarily. It just means maybe it needs a little bit more rest at the moment. If it starts to break down, if it breaks down through these levels of support, of course, that's going to change things here in the market. So watch that. AMD continues to be extremely bullish. This big gap up yesterday, I wouldn't want to chase that in here to the upside. You'll notice we're coming into some old resistance here. It goes all the way back into 2024. So watch that here. A little rest or consolidation, maybe come back to trend a little bit, might be in order here on AMD. But congrats to those who were holding that and got that nice move here in that chart. Take a look at stocks like GoPro. GoPro, nice little resting consolidation here after this big zooming move. Having to consolidate here for quite a bit, but we're holding here on a nice area of price support. Watch that carefully. I still think there's that opportunity that could push on through to the upside. Worth watching for sure. And boy, I think you just got to continue to keep an eye here on Shop. That big push on earnings breaking through up here, major resistance here in the chart popping through, and I think we could start seeing Shop moving up toward those all-time highs here soon. Watch that carefully. Really love the way Abercrombie continues to set up here. That's looking very good. Just watch for a little bit of boost in the market and we could push on through. So guys, I apologize. The video's getting a little bit long. So I'm going to end it here. I want to wish you all a fantastic day. Wish you great results in your trading. Be careful, be safe, and I'll see you back here bright and early Friday morning. As always, I wish you all the very, very best. Take care, everyone.
Black and white candles, my stars in the dark. Price is my king, got that fire and spark. Rightway's my ranch on the trader's trail. Trading with heart where the profits prevail.